All right. Last session of the day. Thank God. No, I'm joking. Who here is going to be able to do 3 more days like this? It's going to be pace yourselves, okay? My rule of thumb is, and most people have already exceeded it, is no more than 1 page note per day, right? Because honestly, you will not be able to do everything more than that in a day, and anything that you don't write down is recorded, and you can always reference it later, but whatever. Last session here is a very interesting one. It's one I've talked about a lot more lately, because as I get bigger, I notice certain things that I didn't notice before. It's kind of a joke that I always say is, I feel sorry for my customers that were buying my stuff 5 years ago, because I didn't know what the hell I was talking about whatsoever, right? Knowing what I know now. But a lot of people say, no, that stuff's awesome, Jason. So it just goes to show you, there's always, when you go up to the next level, it's amazing how little you knew at the previous level, right? And that's always kind of driving me to say, what else can I do? What else do I need to do? How else can I secure my future once and for all? And this is something I've really noticed and only learned recently, and I call it people are greater than information, which is weird because we're in an information market, right? ASM is an information product. Let me tell you, and let me pre-frame this with 3 stories. The first story number 1, local small business fund. So this is as weird as it gets. Some guy who works for a digital SEO agency in Iowa City, Iowa, his brother, who now lives in Pennsylvania, bought my product and told his brother about it. His brother, the digital agency that he works for, is funded by this board of advisors who go out, raise money, and they put it into these digital online businesses that are 2 to 3 years old, that are past the startup stage, and they're trying to go to the next stage, right? So this guy that manages the fund is also local to Iowa City, so he reaches out to me, right? So he finds me because somebody who works for one of the businesses they fund, his brother in Pennsylvania bought one of my products and say, hey, do you know this guy? He's local in Iowa City, right? And so we're at this meeting now, and we start talking. And it turns out he has 3 different businesses that he introduces me to that have an Iowa City presence. They're all SEO-based. And it's like, wow, what a small world, right? And so we hodgepodge around, we kick it back and forth. We think about what are ways that we can synergize. Like, he wants me to do 2 things. I knew what he was selling me on. He wanted me to invest in his fund, right? But the other thing I knew that he wanted to sell me on is, like, if I could help his companies make more money, he makes more money, right? So we talk for a little bit, things go cool, and then things kind of go away because it's like, we analyzed it, and we're like, we don't want to invest in this, whatever. It was good to know him, but we moved on. And then I get this call from him not too long ago, and out of nowhere, and he's like, hey, Jason, I want to sit down and talk to you. And I'm like, okay. So he brings me on with like the top dog advisor of this whole business fund, basically his boss, is what I later came to find out. And these guys are like, we've been putting money in this business for 5 years. It hasn't made any money ever. Haven't even come close to break even. We don't know if we just did another series of funding. We don't know what to do. We need you to come in as an outside consultant and do some advisory for this thing and figure out what you can do with it, if there's what we should do with it. So I said, okay. On a Sunday, because I had to fly out to Vegas, this was a couple weeks ago, I sit down and meet with the CEO of this company. They open up all their books to me, every single thing. And I'm sitting there kicking myself. I'm like, I can't believe these people would do this for me, you know? It's crazy what happens. And they're selling in this vertical that's very tough to get in. And I basically then, while I'm sitting in the airport, flying out Monday to Vegas, just a couple weeks ago, right? I write up this little 1,200-word analysis for the board of directors on what I think's wrong with this business. And I tore it apart, you know? It was great. And I positioned it in an interesting fashion to where I was like, I don't know what you're going to do, if you need to pivot over to this new area or if you just need to kill this business. But one thing's for sure, you can't do this, what you're doing anymore, right? So these guys call me up, and they're like, Jason, when we talk it over with the other board members, we want to know if it's okay to bring your name up as somebody that we might be able to hire to help with the business. And I'm chuckling, like, they're asking if it's okay if they can potentially pay me a lot of money to help them in their business, right? That's the position I'm in, and I'm marveling at this. This is so fascinating to me. And I tell him, the only way we can do this is if we take a massive equity share of the company, because they couldn't, even if they pay me a $100,000 retainer fee, it's not worth my time. Because we're in the process now where if we can't build something that's a leverageable asset, I will not do it anymore, right? But the other interesting thing is I told this guy, because they're in a niche that's similar to selling on Amazon, and they just so happen to have all these connections over in China. And they sell, and because they sell these products like a daily deal site type of industry. It's not exactly that, but it's similar to that, right? And they have all the synergies with an Amazon business, and they don't sell on Amazon, right? So I'm like, I got access to like 400 people that'll sell a product for $1 if I ask them to, you know? I bet you we could figure out a way, if you guys give me enough equity share in your company, to make this work. I'm thinking you guys would benefit because I could help distribute through Amazon. Those guys would benefit because they'd have an irresistible offer in their market that nobody else could compete with. And they roll it out to these CPA networks. That's how they get their traffic. And this site was getting 300,000 visits a month, right? And I go like, I win because I make you guys happy. I make those guys happy. And I'm double dipping. I'm making money off you guys. I'm making money off them guys. I'm making money everywhere, right? But I did not get in that position, and the deal hasn't closed yet, and I don't know if it will close or if it won't close, and I really don't care one way or another, which is, by the way, the best way to close deals is not care one way or another, right? But the point is, I didn't get there because I wowed them with some insight. I didn't get there because I knew some secret thing that they didn't know, right? I got there because I knew a guy. I put myself in positions to where certain people that had access to things I never would have access, decide to contact me, right? So that's story number one. Story number two. So our corporate financial planner, very sharp guy, very, very smart guy, also has a share in a physical product line, right? And this is a physical product line where they work with celebrities. They have a certain niche cornered. They haven't been doing end user distribution. They distribute through like it's so convoluted, so old school, right? Like they don't sell into consumer. They sell to somebody who then sells into consumer, right? And it's a very convoluted sales process, and they've been doing it for 16 years. This guy owns an equity share, and now they're trying to pivot to become totally retail, right? And I'm like, oh my God, they have so many celebrities that have endorsed this product. This should be a laydown, right? And of course, our corporate financial planner, he sees our numbers. He knows what we do. He knows what position that we're in. And so he puts us in contact with the CEO of this big company. And I laughed because I'm a 31-year-old kid sitting down in this meeting with this guy, and I flat out told the guy, I'm like, he wants us to get exclusive online marketing presence for this product and this brand, which would include Amazon and other places, right? And I flat out told him, I said, unless you're giving me a significant chunk of your company, I ain't going to do it, right? And I know the guy was thinking, the audacity on that kid, right? But the reality is there's no way I could do it unless I made a significant investment in that. But the funniest thing of all is, and then I look and I say, I know this guy who I can get the deal with. He knows the celebrities. Once we get celebrities, it's game over. You want to sell on Amazon? The easiest way to sell on Amazon is have a celebrity endorsement, right? Good luck with that. By the way, there's some celebrities you can pay to do that. And that's something like we talk a little bit more about in the Cabo because it's super kind of advanced and it's relatively expensive. But I'm thinking the deals, I'm going to work this guy to try to get like a Jenny McCarthy type of celebrity to endorse our whatever, right? So I would have never got that if I didn't know the right people. Now I can make a lot of money and have some schmuck financial planner, right? But if you surround yourself with the right people that are right connected, it can open some doors. Obviously, we know that. So then this one happened last week. Okay, all this is, by the way, happened in the span of a month. This one happens last week. So, through somebody that we work with, he knows somebody else who runs this magazine that has a circulation of, I don't know if Will's in the room, he knows the details better than I do. But they have basically a database of like 200,000 people, right? Not making that much money on it, because magazines are very hard to make money on, obviously. But I'm thinking, worst case scenario, we come in, we work a deal out with them, and we run free advertising in their magazines, full-page ads to our Amazon products. And again, they have children's celebrities, like on Nickelodeon and Disney and stuff like that. They have access to those. And so we can get endorsements and parlay those over and do some stuff with Amazon, right? There's no technique, there's no secret, there's no information, there's no amazing whatever that gets you these deals. Some of that can help get you there. But at the end of the day, you have to invest as much time in people cultivation as you do with information cultivation, right? And so somebody in the ASM Masters was like, I don't know if I should go out there. It sounds like it's going to be a pitch fest this weekend. I'm like, don't go in the room. Hang out in the hallways. That'll be more powerful to you. I was mad I had to come in here and get on stage because we were holding court over there outside the door, having a good old time breaking stuff down, right? This is where the value's at. Now here's the golden question. This is an awesome question to ask. This is the most powerful question I'll give you today to ask. What one person has immediate access to the ideal audience that would love to buy your Amazon product? Every word in there is deliberately chosen specifically for a purpose. Okay? What one person. What does that mean? What does that presuppose? That they're not a giant corporation, right? So you try to connect with these big corporations, good luck. One person, we want individuals. Easy. Has immediate access. Not access tomorrow, not access in the future. Right now is already controlling them, right? Ideal audience. Really what you ask yourself at the end of the day is, what customers could I absolutely not even try to sell and they would still buy my products, right? And would love to buy it. That's how I love to frame it. You're not selling it. They're happy and eager and willing to give you money for this product. They wish they could give you money sooner than you allow them to. They wish that they knew about you and could have spent money with you last year, right? What one person has immediate access to the ideal audience that would love to buy your Amazon product. They might be in this room, right here. Where to start? So here's what I do when I work through this situation, and I've always done this. I never ask, what's the one piece of information I need to make the breakthrough? I ask, what's the one person I need to know to make this breakthrough? And by the way, I am not the most social guy in the world, okay? Among my peers, I am not a very popular guy. You can ask Dr. Ben about the conversations people have about me around him, you know? A lot of people don't like me. Hard to believe, right? I have to remind them, you don't pay me money, my customers pay me money, okay? I don't have to make you happy, you're not, right? We don't play by the normal rules, but I'm not a very socialized guy, and I'm a hardcore introvert, which I know sounds crazy, okay? Get me on a topic I love to talk about, like this stuff, I'll be hanging out all weekend, right? Normal social functions, hate them, okay? Hate them, which is why I think I like internet marketing so much. Lock me in a room, and I'm very happy, right? But even I, in spite of these things, realize people, okay? I could not put this event on today if it was just me and Mary Jo, right? She would be having a nervous breakdown because I'd try to make her do it all, and I'd be up here having a nervous breakdown. So here's the first thing I do with Amazon products specifically. Are there affiliates ranking high for key search terms in Google, right? So I will Google a brand name. I don't care who the brand name is. I'll plug it into Google. It's one of the first things I do. And I'll say, where are the search results? Which, by the way, that's where we see the press releases, right? Sometimes we see YouTube videos, and we look at them. And we see, is it working? Is it not working, right? We also see affiliates who are promoting them. So that's where we start. Are there affiliates ranking high for key search terms in Google? So I start with a brand name of somebody who has a complementary product. But then I take it a step further. We start plugging in every keyword that we can plug in. So what I do to get my keywords, it's a very low-tech solution. Here's how I get my keywords on Amazon. I do not use merchant words, by the way. I'm not saying merchant words is wrong. I just don't like merchant words. I used them for a little bit. Then I said, forget it. Here's what I do. Say my product is vitamin C serum. I will go to Amazon and type in vitamin C serum A and see what this suggests and write all those down. Vitamin C serum B and write all those down, right? C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, etc., right? Worst case scenario, I type in F because it'll be like vitamin C serum 4, and then I'll type in W. Vitamin C serum with, so I'll do that for the secondary keywords, right? But that's all I do. That's my super duper deluxe amazing fantastic keyword research, right? Pretty simple. But I take all my competitors, all the people that are on page 1 of Amazon, their brand names, and I plug them in there. And I say, are there affiliates already promoting those people? Because if there are, I can get them to promote me. You know how you do it? You offer more money. Affiliates are easy. You offer them more money than they're currently making. Done. You got affiliates. Are there affiliates ranking high for key search terms in Google's? I will plug in every single keyword that I find on my list. The long tail ones are my favorite. And then I'll say, who are they promoting? Are they promoting exclusively Amazon? Are they promoting other things? On their website, are they building an email list from the traffic that goes there? If they have blog comments, do they have a lot of comments, right? When was the last time they updated their site? Can I cross-reference it and find a presence on Facebook for it, right? But if these people are already ranked number 1 for my keywords, I don't even necessarily have to rank number 1 for my keywords, right? I just have to get access to their existing traffic and their existing customers, which we can do, right? Here's another place. Are there thriving, under-monetized Facebook properties? I can't wait to lock myself in a room once I get over the hump with all this that we're doing here. I'm going to show you exactly how to do this, because I've had some people work on this and they've done it completely wrong under my guidance because I didn't give them enough information. I'm trying to get them to learn on their own, right? But you go to a Facebook group that has a big, giant header. You know how in ASM Masters it has like that rocket ship and it says ASM Masters? That could be an ad instead. Now, in my particular case, it would make absolutely no sense to make that an ad. But in an open yoga group that has 500,000 members, and the person running it, the only thing that they're selling is their local Seattle yoga dojo, whatever those things are, right? And some personal yoga lessons, I guess, I don't know. That's all they're selling, that's all they're monetizing. And they got some big, ugly header or none at all on Facebook. We call that an opportunity, right? Are there thriving, under-monetized Facebook property? Notice I said properties. The group is just one of those properties. What about the page? What about the Facebook fan page? What about the Facebook profile? You know, I post something on Facebook, I get a lot of likes, like 50, 60 likes, right? Dr. Ben posts something on Facebook, he gets like 672 likes, you know? That guy got some serious traction on there. So if I can get Dr. Ben to post stuff about me on Facebook, that's just as good, in my opinion, right? Are there thriving, under-monetized Facebook properties? When Ben Cummings gets another testimonial posted in the ASM Masters about how great of a coach he is, right? He's leveraging the under-monetized Facebook group to establish a stronger brand, right? What offline publications does this market read that aren't big corporate driven? Okay? I learned this. Anybody ever heard of Dr. Thomas Stanley? Nobody? Couple people? So Dr. Thomas Stanley is most famous for a book that he wrote called The Millionaire Next Door. He's about the only guy with a legitimate PhD who I listen to, because the rest of them don't know what the hell they're talking about. But Thomas Stanley did an analysis on the commonalities of millionaires. It's a famous thing, and he did it scientifically. I mean, rigorous study. And he found out some very interesting commonalities to millionaires, such as the car that they most often drive is a Toyota Corolla, right? And the average millionaire is small business owner who works 60 to 70 hours a week, right? And he found out all these interesting things. That's why we call it the millionaire next door. Most millionaires, you have no idea they live next door to you, right? But before this, and this is what made him famous, before that, a long time ago, he created two programs. One's called Marketing to the Affluent, and one's called Networking to the Affluent. And I got lucky because when I was broke as a joke, and this was only about 8 years ago, and my little 89 Toyota Celica, I would put down to the local library, and I would check out any and every sales course I could find, any and every personal development course I can find. I lived at the library because I couldn't afford to buy training programs, so I checked them out for free, right? And for whatever reason, the Iowa City Public Library had on tape this networking with the affluent. Oh my God, that thing was, to this day, one of the greatest programs I ever listened to. And he talked about the strategy at this time for, like, say, an insurance agent. He tells an insurance agent to go to, like, Big Fish magazine and contact them, right? And offer to write for free an article to be published in their magazine, right? And then the article would have a little byline, which would get him go back to a site. But then he would use the article to then go and find an association that was having his thing. Like, that B-flat world or whatever that's around us? Does anybody know what the hell that is? Education, right? How many people do you think are there? I want to go in that room, okay? Forget you guys. I'm going over there. I'm going to try to sell them something, right? That's some stupid association, right? What if you were the expert on education for something and you got invited to speak there? I don't know, right? Whatever. And so what happened was he would then go to this Big Fish magazine and use that publication as leverage to then get into these associations to do speaking gigs, position himself as the expert, because that's how you get to the affluent clients. You don't cold call affluent clients, right? You cold call me, I will be pissed off because you can't even warm call me. I don't answer the phone, right? Now, affluent people are very hard to get to, right? And so you position yourself as the expert, so the affluent people go to you. That's the whole premise, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. What's the point of this, right? The point of this is what I realize is the people that publish these magazines, they are very well connected. First of all, they have an audience that they've usually underutilized, but more importantly than that, they sell advertising space. So they have people that they sell that to, other businesses. But more importantly than that, people who publish magazines are very well connected. They just know a lot of people. They have to in their line of business. Now, magazines are dying out, yeah? Yeah. So the technique isn't as good as it used to be. But it still has some sort of validity. I don't know if Ben Cummings is in the room here, but I would bet $1 to a dime that when he started establishing his marketing to chiropractors, he probably got published in Backcracker Monthly magazine, right? And by the way, chiropractors make up a segment of the market that is considered affluent more so than the average person, right? So if you want to prospect affluent, chiropractors aren't a bad niche to go. And there's a lot of chiropractors here today to prove it to you, right? But you ask yourself, not only that, here's the other thing. You ask yourself, what do these people read offline? And then you go and you read the same magazines that they read, and then you get an idea of who else is advertising to them and what online properties do they control, right? Okay? That ain't all. Are there professional reviewers for your product type? There are people who make their living doing nothing more but reviewing Amazon products. That's what they do. So if you go and you type in camera float into Amazon and look at, I believe it's the very first result, this person has 3 or 4 reviews that are all video reviews. And one of the video reviews that they have, video reviews, by the way, are awesome. They're something that you should definitely strive to do in your Amazon listings. Video reviews, if you look at this particular example, there's one of them that says top 1,000 reviewer. Because just like there's a BSR, there's a review rank too, right? Now, if you did what I've done, and you went through and started looking at these lists of these top reviewers, because it's not hard to find them, and then you start saying which reviewers consistently leave 5 stars on every product that they review, right? And then you figure out what's in it for them. Do they have a YouTube channel? Do they have a blog? Do they just take these products and then resell them on the aftermarket, right? I don't know, but we want to figure out what makes them tick. Because I want now, I don't want most professional reviewers, because most of them do not give 5 stars, right? But there are a lot of them. And if they don't give 5 stars for everything they review, what products are they most likely to give 5-star to? Are they similar to my product, right? But you should know instantly what the professional viewers are, who they are, and what they do. And that extends more than just the official ones that Amazon has anointed as reviewers, power reviewers, or whatever they call the thing. There's other ones that just do a lot of reviews. So who are they, and who are they specifically in your market for your product, right? Who runs the forums that these people frequent? Everybody forgets about forums in the day of Facebook and Twitter, right? I love forums. The demographics on forums skew to the older demographic, which typically is a better demographic to sell Amazon products to. Forums. There's a lot of money in forums, right? Warrior Forum was sold for, what, $3 million? I bet you could run an ad in Warrior Forum today selling something silly on Amazon and make money with it. It's not even related, right? Go buy my product on Amazon and I'll give you this free training report, right? 1 penny for this Bluetooth shower speaker. You should buy it anyway because you can listen to training programs in the shower now, right? Boom, 150 sales. Now you're on the first page for Bluetooth shower speaker, right? But just think if you knew it. By the way, a little historia for you. I was the first person to ever get a pop-up on the Warrior Forum. First person ever to get a pop-up on the Warrior Forum. That was me. I was the guy who did that. He said, Jason, how you do it? Because I woke up that morning and a whole bunch of people said, Jason, how'd you do that? Because I was also the first person to get a banner ad on the Warrior Forum. Where he sells them now, or where Alan used to sell them. I was the first one ever to do that. And I woke up that morning and people said, how'd you do that? And I said, I don't know. Because I had 2 affiliate managers at the time who did it for me. It's who you know, right? So they leveraged their connections, and they got it. And then from that parlayed into Alan contacting me. And I don't know how I sold him on this idea. I guess I'm okay at sales. I don't know. I convinced him to allow me to serve DHTML pop-ups on the forum. Oh, that was good. Who runs the forums that these people frequent, right? Are there popular YouTube channels that are underutilized? I study YouTube religiously. Here's what I look at when I look at YouTube. Is there ads showing in the upper right-hand corner? Because if there is, I can bid on those ads. It's like Google AdWords for video, right? I don't even have to make a video to bid on those ads necessarily. That's very easy. Are there overlays on the video? You ever see those things at the bottom or wherever that are like Google AdSense? That's what those are. Is there a pre-roll video that shows at the beginning? That's not the guy spinning the pizza, right? Or is, I don't care. Do they have a lot of subscribers? Do they get a lot of video views? Right? These are the things I'm analyzing. And then more importantly, when I analyze that, if I see them and they're under monetizing that, that's an invitation to connect with them. Because again, if we pay them more money than what they're already making, that's a conversation that they'll at least sit down and entertain, right? Are there popular YouTube channels that are underutilized? So now that we know this, here's what you do. Step number 1, create a list of at least 50 people you can approach who control the audience you wish to reach. Not 1, not 5, 50. That's your starting list. When you're done with this 50, we'll do 50 more, right? Start with 50 people. Create a list of at least 50 people you can approach who control the audience that you wish to reach, right? Now, what do you say? Once you get this list of 50 people, what do you say? I'll tell you what everybody wants to say. They want to cut and paste the same damn greeting to each and every one of them. You do that, you have just wasted your time collecting those 50 names, and you've wasted their time. Okay? There is no boilerplate approach. There isn't, right? There is no boilerplate approach to this, and this is what gets a lot of people. They want a turnkey system, and hey, I'm a systems guy, right? But you cannot say the same thing to any 2 people. Each one is going to be unique and different. It's called putting in some time, right? Is it worth it? It is worth it. Each communication needs to be individualized to that person. Here's what you do. Here's the process I go through in my mind when I create these connections. I first acknowledge something minor yet significant about them personally. Minor yet significant keywords. Then I start a conversation to ferret out their goals. Third, I tease something of interest, and I'm going to break down each of these even further. Fourth, explain why you're contacting them. Fifth, call to action. This is the process that I run through when I craft these messages to contact these people who control my ideal audience. So let's break down each one. Acknowledging something minor yet significant. Goal number 1, don't look like spam. When you write this message, before you send it out, ask yourself, am I spamming? Okay? because you probably are the first time. So you got to go back and rewrite it, right? I don't care if we get the connection. I don't care about anything else. We just do not want to look like spam. So you have to identify and say, this is what spam looks like. This is what personal communication looks like. Oftentimes when I go to write emails to send out to my list, I'll do this. I'll go, look up emails recently that Wilson has sent me. And I'll read his subject lines, right? And I'll say, look at emails that AC has recently sent me. And I'll read her subject lines. And I'll say, look at emails that Mary Jo has recently sent me. And I'll read her subject lines. And I'll say, Derby. Because I always have Derby selling something crazy. I'm like, what is he sending me? And I analyze these. And I say, this is what personal communication looks like, right? This is what I want to sound like. So I always do a quick refresher before I sit down and write the message. Then goal number 2 is come across as sincere, right? You don't say, oh, hey, those are nice shoes, and not mean it just because you're trying to flatter them, knowing you're buttering them up to ask them something, right? Come across as sincere. Don't make it look like you're pulling a game on them, right? Be straight with them. Goal number 3, secret wish of recognition. This is not necessarily needed, but all of us in this room, we do something that we secretly hope somebody recognizes and acknowledges, right? We do it intentionally too. We do something that we don't want to call too much attention to, but we try to subtly call just enough attention to it. So somebody says, oh, hey, right? So it's kind of funny because my fiance, she got some dental work done recently. They did a really good job of fixing up her teeth because she's had issues with her teeth her whole life, right? She comes home, and I forgot it was this day. I'm down there working. She comes in, she's like, hey. I'm like, hey, honey. It's like, you notice something? I'm like, did you get a haircut? You know? She's like, no, seriously. And I look, and then it hits, oh, your teeth, right? She's like, yeah. She didn't just say, look at my teeth, you know? She wanted me to recognize that. Women, you're good at that stuff, right? I'll come out in the morning, and she'll be like, what do you think? I'll be like, what do you mean? I cleaned the house up this morning. Oh, that's nice. Well, you're not going to say anything about it? She wanted me to recognize that she cleaned the house. You know, I get it. I try it, right? Secret wish of recognition. Try to observe something that you think they're doing intentionally in hopes that somebody will recognize them. That's when you really get them. Now, sometimes you can't find that. Don't spend a lot of time looking for it, but just put your antenna up to it, right? Secret wish of recognition, okay? So here's an example. If I catch any one of you using this word for word, I am going to go crazy because this is not a boilerplate. This is just an example. My example in this fictitious scenario, not even exactly the one I use, but it contains a lot of what we're talking about here, right? Hey, I noticed recently you've been posting less about pit bulls. Was that intentional? Just thought it was interesting. Doesn't even have anything to do with anything, right? Now, if I have a good idea because over there on their other web property, they talked about why they no longer support that everybody should have a pit bull, right? But over there on their Facebook page, they just quit talking about it. And then I send them a message on Facebook. They're going to be like, huh. I've given them an invitation to tell a story, right? Now, that's a little advanced, but you get the point, right? This is not spam. Hey, I noticed you recently been posting less about pit bulls. The only way this could be spam is if I accumulated a list of people who used to post about pit bulls who no longer do and mass emailed them. That ain't going to happen, right? And then I asked them a question. This is always our goal. Open up a conversation. I will never sell them on the first email or the second or the third one, right? So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is ferret out their goals. Take a vague stab at what you think their intentions are. You may know their intentions exactly, but let them tell you what they are. Don't just tell them that you know what they are, right? Take a vague stab at what their intentions are. So you're like, it seems to me that I think you're really going for this, but I might be off base. Is that what you want to get out of this site or whatever, right? Your intention is to open up a two-way conversation. So even if you looked at the last one, was that intentional or not? Trying to open up a conversation. This one. I think your goal with this site is to do blank, is it? I might be wrong or off base, so let me know, right? Conversation. Ferret out the goals. So here's an example. Keep in mind, this picks up where the last one left off. So we just brought up pit bulls. It got me thinking, as I noticed that most of your updates don't seem to recommend many products. Is your plan to monetize your site, or is this a passion to you? What's your big picture with this site, right? This is a conversation that I'm trying to start, right? Could this be spam? No. Notice the difference, right? Got me thinking. So I noticed most of your updates don't seem to recommend many products. Is your plan to monetize your site? Or is this a passion to you? By the way, it's an alternative choice, right? I make it easy to reply to me. Is it this or is it this? Right? I also want to know what they're going to say in return. So if somebody specifically tells me something, well, I'm trying to run this site to pay for my hosting bill for $250 a year for the hosting and for the bulletin board that I use and this other thing, right? I got them. Cool. So, if I could cover that for you, and it makes sense for you, would you be open to a conversation about that, right? I mean, that's where you start taking it. It's very easy to sell something specific. When Derby and I, we do a lot of sales training together. We talk about this all the time, where we sit down with somebody and I say, where would you like to be in the next 12 months? If you ever heard me sell you one-on-one or Derby, that's typically how we start it, right? I want to know specifically where you're going to go, and then all I got to figure out is how I can help get you there. That's all you got to do. So that's where we start here, right? Next is we tease interest, right? So here's an example. The reason I asked is because I recently started selling a new product on Amazon. I'm looking to give away a significant portion of my profits to get this thing going. If you're open, I'd love to run some ideas by you that might end up beneficial for both of us, right? This is an example. Do not use this word for word. It's not even a good way to do this. It's a lot easier when you have a very specific person that you very specifically analyzed and you can tailor make it to. But notice some of the lessons behind it. The reason I ask, I tell them why I'm contacting them. I'm straight. I recently started selling a new product on Amazon. I tell them the God honest truth, right? Hey, I'm willing to bribe you, basically, just so I can get some rank going on Amazon. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, cool. Now, I phrase it in a funny way. I'm looking to give away a significant portion of my profits to get this thing going. That's some advanced stuff there, right? Really teasing it like they're like, damn, they're taking advantage of me. They're going to make more money on my product than I am. That's intentional. That's why I put that seed in their head, right? And then if you're open, if I'm selling you one-on-one on something, I'm going to say when you're open to it. Be assumptive, right? But in this case, we take the opposite approach. That might end up beneficial for us, right? I didn't say that I know will absolutely be beneficial for us. I'm trying to start a conversation, right? But this is usually the answer I use. In some cases, because this is my personality, I'll say, hey, you got a massive audience of people that love you. I know if I sell a whole bunch of products on Amazon, and I'm just starting, that it'll increase my rank, or at least I want to test it. So I don't care if I make any money. I just want to run this test. I'll give you all the money. I don't know. Are you the least bit interested in that, right? And you take somebody who's ran this site for 8 years and has never even been able to pay for the domain and profit. You think they're interested in that? Yes. Out of 50 people, one of them will be. Then the call to action. The goal of the first communication is to start a conversation, not to make a sell. Can't make a sell. Impossible to make a sell. Unless you're the luckiest person in the world, which I am not. So here's an example. Anyway, probably a long shot, but I figured I'd reach out. If you have any interest, just reply back to me and we can go from there, right? Very conversational. Probably a long shot. I'm not assuming they'll respond back. It's reverse psychology, by the way. They'll say, oh yeah? You think it's a long shot? Let me prove you wrong. And then respond back to you, right? I mean, if I'm selling something, do you think I do that? Hey, I don't know, you might be interested in this ASM thing. It's a long shot. It's like $4,000, probably a long shot that you could afford it, right? If you're the least bit interested, just let me know, and I can show you where to go to buy it, right? You don't sell like that. That's why we talk like that here. We don't want to sound like somebody that's selling something, right? Now here's a note. Your message should pass the glance test. So I'm working with a coaching client individually because we're starting to do some done-for-you Amazon stuff. It's crazy. I don't want to talk about it too much here. But we're trying to build a system around that to help people get over some of these hurdles with the Done For You program. So we're piloting one right now. But the guy I'm working with, I start him down this path. And I lay it out, and I don't give him super specific directions. I've given him 1/10 of the directions I've given you thus far, right? Because I love to throw people in the deep end and see if they drowned or not, right? It's a good learning experience. And he comes back and he sends me the message. He goes, this is the message I'm sending out, Jason. And it was impersonal. It was copy and paste. But the thing was like this long, right? In a Facebook message. And I'm like, dude, I will never read anything that long. Like, Will has to twist my arm. Like, here's an email that if we do it properly is going to make us $60,000 in this deal. And I'll look at it, oh my God, it's this long. You want me to read that whole thing, you know? We're working on the prenup right now for the marriage, and I didn't read the whole thing. I read a little bit of it. I was like, I don't know what any of this means. And then I called my financial planner who helps this, prepares this. I'm like, dude, explain this to me. And so for like $200 an hour, or more, a lot more actually, he's reading the contract out loud to me, so I don't read it, right? Unsolicited information, nobody wants to read it, no matter how good it is, right? It has to pass the glance test. When somebody glances at your message, and when you glance at this message you prepare before you send it out, ask yourself, if somebody looked at this, would they say, oh, that's not bad, and then actually read it, right? Some of you have sent me emails this long, and I've just ignored them, right? Because I don't even want to try to read them. Too much effort, right? Will hates that, by the way. I used to get on him when we first started. He replied to every single email that somebody sent. And I'm like, don't do that. And he's like, why? He goes, well, what? I go, if it's important, don't email it again, right? You got to let go of that, right? Your message should pass the glance test. If they don't respond back, which will be most of them, more of them will not respond back than will. That's just one of those things, right? It's just how it goes. If they don't respond back, follow up with them a few days later with a gentle nudge. So something like this. Hey, did you get my message I sent the other day? If not, here it is again. It's short, so it's no big deal, right? I figured I'd give it one final chance. Respond back if you want. If not, it's cool. I won't contact you anymore, right? So there's a little bit of scarcity in there. I won't contact you anymore. I'm like, oh, no. It's worth one shot, because if you've done all that effort to isolate and find that person, right, then it's worth hitting them one more time. If they do respond, which won't be very many of them, by the way, right? I read a study once where they're talking about like the Nigerian scam artists, right? They intentionally use broken English and misspellings because anybody who's dumb enough to respond to that, it's a time management technique. They only deal with the hottest prospects who will fall for that scam, right? So the people who respond back to this, they're hot. Not to say we're running Nigerian scams here, right? But it's weird what we're doing. The average person is going to be like, why are you contacting me unsolicited, right? They will. And that's why a lot of them won't respond. It's okay. We don't need a lot of them to respond. If they do respond, though, here's how it goes. This is the next part of the process. Number 1, bait the hook. Number 2, explain to them, you, me. Number 3, dangle an open-ended solution. This is the system. The bed system, right? BED. Bait, explain, dangle. Aztec to bed. Simple stuff, right? Bait the hook, explain to them, you, and me. Dangle an open-ended solution. I love standing in front of like 650 people and just staring at them, right? That's a fun thing. You should do it sometime. It really works your nerves good. You feel very comfortable when you can do that. Bait, explain, dangle, okay? So this is what it looks like. First, we bait the hook. Well, my product is one of the best on the market, but it doesn't have many reviews on Amazon. So I'd be willing to give up a significant portion of my profits if I could get someone to refer sales because I know some of those will leave reviews, right? So we've already told them once in the first contact, hey, I want to give you some money because you got this audience, And I just want to start getting some sales. We explain it even further, okay? There's something about that, revealing it one layer at a time, right? Peeling back the onion, you know? Lifting up the skirt hem ever so slightly, more and more and more, right? That's what we're doing here. So now I become even more specific. This is exactly the reason why the reviews. So they say, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then here's the second part, the them, you, me. I'd be willing to give your followers a discount, so they'll like that. I'd then give you a flat fee per sale referred, and I'd be happy making a tiny bit with the hopes of getting some reviews, right? Several reasons why. People screw this up all the time. You got to have a reason why. So when I talk about optimizing listings on Amazon, so somebody will come and say, Jason, I got a 365-day guarantee that I'm listing on my Amazon product. I'll say, that's great. Why? And they don't have it listed. As a consumer, if you see somebody that says, we got a 365-day guarantee, you know what your immediate reaction is, whether you realize it or not? It's like a gimmick, right? You're like, oh, this guarantee doesn't mean nothing. They probably won't even honor it, right? Because it seems fishy. But if you say, we can do a 365-day guarantee because our product is so good, they're like, oh, that makes sense, right? We do a 365-day guarantee because our accountant said we could, right? Okay, that makes sense. Your reason why can sometimes even be, we do the 365-day guarantee because it's better than 364 days. Oh, yeah, okay. Makes sense. You just got to have a reason why. 99% of the time, any old reason why will do. I do that when we sell higher priced products on Amazon too. The reason why our price is higher is because we use better quality material, right? I don't say the reason this price is higher is because I make more money. Although you can. I've done that plenty of times. You say it like this, we engineer a better customer experience because we have more to work with to satisfy your needs, right? Same thing though, that's what it means. So you give them, you, me. Most people, not all of them, most people can care about their audience that they've assembled, right? So you got to satisfy them. That's the them. The you is what's in it for them specifically. So you bring that conversation a little bit further in, and then you say the me, right? That's you. You're last. Them, you, me. Start with the customer, then go with them, then go with you. Okay? And then finally, dangle the solution. I also have an idea of how to make the promotion super simple on your end where I'll basically do all the work. That's like a golden phrase. Do all the work, right? Ben Cummings says, Jason, I got an idea for you, a way we can set up a program, a continuity program to sell. I'll do all the work. We'll split it 50-50. Are you interested? This is the email. He sends me unsolicited one day, a couple weeks ago. You know what my response was? Duh. Yes, you do all the work and we split the profits. I'll talk about it. Yeah, okay, cool. And then I say, I could be very flexible with how you make your cut, opening up a conversation, right? So keep in mind, we've written them one time. They responded back with some sort of affirmative that said they're interested, right? Now, in a real world, they'll even sometimes give you specifics. They'll say, I'm interested, but I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. Can you explain this point further? And that's where you go with it, right? But let's just assume they just say, I'm interested, tell me more. Then they say something like this, right? And I say, I don't know if it makes sense or not if you were thinking of some other way. I'm all ears, let me know what you think, right? Which is, again, so anti-selling, it's sickening almost, right? But this is how we do it. We say, hey, and really what you do, and the psychology behind this, if you want to break this down, is I want them to feel like they're going to come in and take advantage of me, right? That's intentional. I want them to feel like, oh, yeah, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to make $5 per sale, right? Okay, cool. I'll make more than that myself, right? And I'll say, all right, you drive a hard bargain. I'll tell you what. I'll do $5, but if you sell more than 10, then I'll make it $6. If you sell more than 50, I'll make it $7, right? And they're like, damn. And they're like, haha, sucker, I would have done it for $3, right? And I'm like, haha, sucker, I would have done it for 15, you know? I'd give you $15 to sell. I don't care. but we're opening the conversation even further. Okay? Now, if they say yes, that's great. Let's break this down and let's finalize this thing. That's what you want them to say to you. If yes, now this is very important, bounce them to a different communication channel. This is where the psychology comes into place. So say your first and your second communication were on Facebook, right? So you sent them a message on Facebook, they responded. You sent them another message on Facebook with that stuff where you baited it and you said, hey, this is what's in it for you and blah, blah, blah. And now they're still interested. This is now the third communication that we're coming back to them with. I say, that's great. Do you do Skype? Let's hop on Skype and talk about it. If not, let's arrange a time on the phone, right? Or whatever. You say, here's my email address, or would you prefer Skype, right? Let's hammer this out. Why do we bounce them to a different communication channel? Because we could take the communication straightforward and continually do it on Facebook, right? Why the need to move them somewhere else? Because it makes it seem more serious, right? They're following you somewhere. It's an advanced psychological trick, right? It's very important, though. It will definitely help you increase the amount of people who respond. And usually I try to get them on the phone. That's my personality. Because when I talk to them and they can hear it, then it makes a lot more sense, right? Now here's what's important. This is not cookie cutter stuff, right? Each and every single communication will be different. Each one will have a different opening. Each person you'll have to calibrate to based on what you've done intelligence-wise for them ahead of schedule, right? Does this take time? Yes. If you could get access to somebody who has 10,000 people that they could put your message in front of, is it worth it? Yes. Important. You were given an example, not even a very good one. I gave you an example in the laboratory of a fictional example with not a very specific product, right? You were given an example, craft your own, following the principles. The last thing I want to do is use word for word what I just told you. First of all, a lot of that's personality-based, how you talk. You converse with them, though, like you would converse with a friend. Craft your own. Follow the principles. So remember the 5-step process. And then if they say yes, remember the 3-step follow-up process. And if they say yes again, that's 2 yeses now. Bounce them to a new communications channel and close the deal. Now, you might get hung up on small stuff. Remember the whole thing I said at the beginning of the day? When you talk to somebody, say, hey, what's going on right now? What's the challenge in your business? And you say to yourself, is that a minor challenge or a major challenge, right? Is it minor or is it major if you're like, well, gee, how do I track sales for them and know how they get paid? It's a minor problem, right? Figure it out. Each situation is different. Usually when I start talking to them, I'll say, well, how much are you currently making with this thing right now? And how much would you like to make, right? And you say, you know what? I'll advance you that $50 you want to make against sales. And then I'll send you over a screenshot with the sales. And if it's more than that, I'll pay you more. And if it's not that, I'll let you keep the $50. That's one way to do it, right? Another way to do it is to say, you know what? I don't know how to track the sales stuff. If I could just pay you a flat rate instead, would that be even better for you? And if so, what would that be? And then if it makes sense, do it. If it doesn't make sense, then tell them, well, that's outside my budget because I'm giving away so much money on my profit. Is there something else that we can work around, right? Now, could you do this with a video? What I just showed you was one way, but you also start thinking about what are other ways I can contact people and connect with people, okay? Could I send them a video as an introduction? Now, I'll tell you what, if you send me a video, I will not watch it. Because I can speed read like crazy. It drives some of my staff nuts sometimes. Because like they'll throw up a sales letter, and I'll look at it, and like 15 seconds later, I'll be like, all right, got it. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I read the whole thing. And they're like, huh? You know? It's like you just do it after a while. You can get really good. I can't speed read a video, unfortunately, right? You haven't figured that one out yet. But a lot of people respond to that, especially strangers. When you say like, hey, Todd, I noticed the other day that blah, blah, blah. Don't pander either, right? It's got to be sincere. Remember that? But you do it with a video. And say, hey, I noticed that you did this on your website and you show a screenshot. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I got this product over here. And I'm really looking to get a start in this Amazon business. I'm kind of desperate, actually. So I'd be willing to give you a lot of the money. I just want to get out there and start getting a name for myself. And I figured I'd reach out to you because insert reason why. Something you notice specifically about them. You can't make a boilerplate video, right? That's what's so powerful about that. Could you do this with flattery? Oh yeah. Flattery is one of my favorite tools. You just talk about how awesome this person is all damn day long, and they'll like you just because you talk about how great they are, right? It's got to be sincere, though, right? And you got to do it in a tactful way. But you could talk about, the reason I contacted you to do this is because blah, blah, blah. Now be specific. Because you're the only one that told the truth on July 4th about this thing on Facebook. And that really resonated with me, So I would not do this deal with the average people, but because of this and that and whatever, yada, 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 right? A little bit of flattery goes a long ways. Especially when people are doing stuff that they haven't been recognized for and they feel like they should be recognized for it, right? It's amazing, right? Could you do this in exchange for something else that they want besides money? So when I first started my internet marketing business, nobody wanted to joint venture with me. I mean, why? I'm the new kid. What do I know? I don't have any proven converting offers. So you know what I did? I traded copywriting work for it. So in their mind, they say, worst case scenario, even if this offer bombs, I got a free sales letter and didn't have to pay $2,000 for it, right? Or I helped them set up and optimize a web property. Or I wrote articles for them. I don't care. I basically did work for them in exchange for the favor. Not money, but work. A lot of people, money doesn't do anything for them. But if you do something else for them instead. Hey, the other day I noticed on your blog post you said you would really like to get this Kindle book finished. And you posted the PDF version of it, right? And it wasn't formatted properly. Well, guess what I did? I formatted it for you. Oh, now you're cool, right? Now you're awesome. Do something in exchange for something else that they want besides money. Use that as a conversation starter, right? Also consider this. Who do you know personally who has some sort of influence you can leverage if you beg and bug them? So Roger and I, we talk about this with some of the people that he knows. He's got a lot of connections, and he's still working on some of them, right? They might pan out, they might not pan out. But I'm like, work them. Work them. Work those people, right? The whole MLM industry is supported because the only people that actually buy products are friends and families of the people who bought the business opportunity, right? That whole market exists because of that. Because they know you can sell 5 people, and that's it. Cool. Then they get somebody else, and they sell 5 units of the product, right? Who do you know personally who has some sort of influence you can leverage if you beg and bug them? And you have to beg them, and you have to bug them, and that's okay, right? If you hate that you begged and bugged them, then later on you can ask them, that time I was begging and bugging you, how much would I have to pay you to make that okay? Oh, this much? All right, well, you take it out of your profits because now you're selling, right? You pay them money. They'll like you again, right? They'll still like you. Doesn't matter. Just beg and bug them. Ask them for a favor. Here's the deal. Most people don't do anything with their lives. So it's okay if we ask them for stuff because we're trying to do something cool, right? Whether they do or don't do it, no big deal. We're going to do it anyway, right? Hopefully they can be a part of it. Who do you know personally who has some sort of influence you can leverage if you beg and you bug them? I guarantee you every single person in this room has some sort of key connection that they haven't tapped yet. Tap that. Tap that. Tap it. And why? Because this is the most important thing you could be doing. ASM is still, in my heart of hearts, the most powerful business opportunity I have ever seen. Okay? There's only one business I've ever known where a guy's wife does better than me and him, right? This business. So it's okay to bug and beg them, right? And they might have connections to people that can be influential to help you start your Amazon product, your next one, or take your Amazon product currently to a different level. Maybe even outside of Amazon. Because you don't have to sell only on Amazon, right? Also consider this. How can you leverage other people's expertise? I mean, I'm here all weekend, right? I mean, you can leverage the hell out of my expertise. You go home, you'll have to pay me big money, right? Right now, you can't even pay me to talk to you. I'm so busy, right? You get it for free here. Okay? Who else do you know here that you can leverage their expertise? Now, the best way to leverage somebody's expertise is allow them to leverage yours in return, right? How can you leverage other people's expertise? Not their knowledge. That's different. Do you know the difference between knowledge and expertise? Anybody can have knowledge, right? Expertise means a direct result based on knowledge. That's my definition, at least. You know how many people in here are selling like crazy and doing very well on Amazon? There's so many of them. And they all did it slightly different ways. And they all have certain things that are problems in their business right now. And if you can help solve those, you can get some of that expertise in return. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, you have to say to yourself, if people are greater than information, how do I get to know more people? Who do I get to know? Who influences and controls the audience that I wish to reach? How many less sales do you think Matt and Jason would have had if they didn't somehow connect with us and get us to promote this thing, right? People are greater than information. So leverage the people here this weekend. Leverage me. Leverage Wilson. Leverage all the other speakers I had today. Leverage all the ASM master coaches who are here this weekend. Figure out and find out who else is here in the main event, because there's 2,500 people here plus this weekend. So my name's Jason Fladlin on behalf of Wilson Matos and Rapid Crush. Thank you for coming here today, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend.